be surprised. I do say fighting. Me, I can go fighting just as well as all of you. I'm writing the same way. But I've been writing programs from those days of basic all the way to now. Here, I used to write all of them. Don't be surprised. I can say fighting. I can go fighting just as well as and we still the same way. But I've been writing. For us, it's not the syntax or the language. It's the algorithm. It's how you piece things together. How you make it. As for the implementation, which is the language, you give me a manual. Give me the manual. And I will translate my algorithm into the manual or particular language of the algorithm. So it's a question how you piece and you do the same kind of cycling as everybody. As for the implementation, which is the language, you give me a manual. Give me the manual. And I will translate my algorithm into the manual or particular language of the Let's look at it. This profession is a bit unusual. Just as the case with all, in that case, our profession, yeah, now, honestly, I utilize that. Let's look at it, which makes it very, unique. In other words, it's like you make a car, and then everybody drives a car. In that case, they don't have to know how the car works. But you drive the car. We do the same thing. Every tool we come up with, that's which makes it very unique. In some cases, the tools we come up with requires know-how on that professional. And so we will have to know about the application professional. We do the same thing. Every tool, they are not necessarily of the other types, but they are application. If it's in medicine, in some cases, when you have people like you who are specialized in medicine, that will do that. Now, of course, when you are driving a car, I don't need to know how to I'm not expecting that. I'm not substitute of the other parts, but nor do I become an expert in mechanical engineering. You have people like simply by driving the car, that will affect you now. And I'm saying that, of course, I'm in the technical community, so you should understand my part. No, the fact that I can drive the car does not make me an expert in automobile mechanical or simply by driving the car. That will affect you now. And I'm saying that, of course, I'm in the technical community, so you should understand my part. No, the fact that I can drive the car, that is why they live in the civil society. Don't try to be an engineer. It will take me forever. If I'm an engineer, I don't really know civil society. It will take me forever. And we have to stay within our role and respect our role so that we can collaborate. It will take me forever. Do the work of helping people. Engineer, I don't really know civil society. It will take me forever. Now, one thing that I see is that many people feel excited at the labor discussion. Go down to collaborate, we take the easy things, and then we clean people. Be careful. The industry is changing so fast that the low-hanging fruit is swept away very quickly. Many people with consolidation of the lives by the labor discussion. In other words, the low-hanging fruit that you are playing with, any of the large multinationals immediately sweep it to the next. The industry is changing so fast. Many they do because they have they've also thought about it. If you are thinking about it, they've also thought about it. So don't go for low-hanging fruit, that go for things that solve the large and solve problems in your area. Do the real hard. Many they do because they have now. Sometimes it's also tempting to just talk about the ideas. Don't go for low-hanging fruit. If you keep talking about the ideas, somebody else will develop and solve problems in your area. So spend less time talking about the ideas, but trying to actually implement something. Now, sometimes if you are not the implementer type, where do someone design something and have an implementer team talking about the ideas, somebody else will develop and solve problems. There are things which are easily said, which are very difficult to implement, trying to actually implement something. I mean, I can have a beautiful idea, you all love it, but implementing where do someone design something and have an. So we need to discern what are factors There are things that easily said. At the same time, there are things one cannot easily reverse. Okay? Once you start. In other words, if you make a mistake and you think this is about typing fast, you go and hit return, and you raise your voice. At the same, I hope you see what I'm saying. I'm saying this thing is not about the one who is fastest at typing things. No, usually the real key, you know, is that if you type that thing called return, it's about typing fast. Because when you type that return, it means point of no return. At the same, I hope you see what I'm saying. I mean, if you type the wrong command, the one who, of course, says that there, you have to start from the very usually the real key is that if you type that no return, it's a very, you know, because when you type that return, it means point of no return. It is about correct. So if you can't get it correct, then it's difficult for you to advance. Now, this profession needs all the others. I mean, if you notice, we don't like to have meetings without users. The technical community never likes to have meetings without users because they are the ones who find the bugs. Then you understand. They are the ones who give you the specs. This profession needs, they are the ones who tell you what is acceptable. And so we must maintain our rules. But technical community users are not allowed to use that. But good users will always find the problems in our technical community. All these, they are the ones who give you the specs. Then what kind of jobs they want to play a part. And so we must. Another important point is that we need to own our information society. Good users will always find the problem. If you leave the information society alone, that you try and fight the own piece of it, it will be owned by outside. And so we must. Another important point is to become one. Yes, and own our information society. Good users will always find the problem. And that is why we've been talking about this digital divide from those days from the 70s, 80s, because we foresaw that if we are not careful, we will only be consumers, we become one. And if you are consumers and not participate in the supply side, I think it's not. And that is why we're doing this, talking about your society is dependent on it, and therefore it can be controlled by somebody else. And we should be very careful. So we want to participate in the supply side, only that's why we are issue. And if you put all your multi-stakeholders in the supply side, how you participate on the supply side, whatever you call it, dependent on it, and therefore it can be controlled by somebody else. Also, we should come from there. We want to participate in the developer side. That's why we are issue. I think you should be aware of foreign savings. I don't mean it negative, I mean it very comfortable. Real foreign savings will support you to aspiration. But those who come out and say that they want to save you from your goals, I think you should be aware it's not possible foreign savings. Nobody takes, no visitor takes good care of the goods than yourself. Real foreign savings. And I think it's a phrase in our language. No foreigner takes better care of the you than yourself. So yes, we have many good foreign parties, like you who is going to do this development, and you should bear that in mind. This is what we call the techno liberation struggle. We are struggling for liberation of our society by preventing technology, lack of know-how, and being used to colonize us. We have to liberate ourselves. We have to hold this what we call the techno so that we can take it to the global and partner with our colleagues globally on nearly equal by preventing technology for lack of know-how. Recently, there's been a lot of discussions on skills education and liberation. Please don't fall in that trap. Like you don't fall in that trap. Maybe a very advanced society can say, I don't need education anymore. Please don't do that. You need education. Recently, you need education in these skills. Please don't fall in that trap. Maybe a very someone starts telling you these kind of stories. Please don't do that. It's not going to help. You have to have education, especially when you are in a new economy, you are in an emerging economy. Meaning that you don't have many of the structure. If you have many of the structure, yes, you could survive just with skills. But remember, skills change, eh? Skills are the moving target. Today, the skill required is this, tomorrow is that. But if you have good education, when the skills change, you change. So I'm telling you that for me, for Africans, my recommendation is get yourself educated and acquire skills. Okay? Get yourself educated and acquire skills. These are interesting. You know, my father, even though I was going to school, he made me go and learn how to repair shoes. I'm a cobbler. Because he said, someday, you never know, things can happen. You have to go do things from the basics. Okay? So that was my side that I had to do. That's an emphasis on skills. But education without skills can be problematic. Okay? Although you can learn the skills quickly, so pay attention to the skills, but get yourself educated. Very important for me. Sometimes also we get caught in this business of tools. The tools are made by somebody else. They're excited about, yeah, we say open source, so grab that. Don't just follow the tools. Do your own engineering. Yeah, use the tools, add your things to it, but make sure you do the real engineering. Because if you just become a tool, when the tool pulls out, you are dead. And not long ago, beware. Not long ago, did you hear Huawei was crying? It was depending on some tools in some particular country, and the country decided, good or bad, not to sell it to him anymore. You understand? So we have to be very careful when we are making our decisions, okay, so that you can be at least partially self-sufficient, because you don't know what happens in the future. And this is important because there's fragmentation going on the internet and in technology. The technology one is the example I'm giving you with respect to Huawei. But there's the internet also fragmented. There are countries that, coming out with various, you might say, data protection regulations, which require that you have to keep their information about their people in their country. That's an attempt to fragment the internet. Whether we like it or not, call it like that or not. The same way, there are some countries that, they control all the exit points of the internet. Okay? And so they can decide what comes in, what goes out. There are some countries that don't have that, so they decide they will have their own internet. Okay? I haven't mentioned names, but you can tell the names. I haven't mentioned countries, but you can tell the names. So what is it that you are doing? What is that we are doing to protect our own self? And I think your best bet is, the mind. If you develop the mind strongly, you will survive. And this is what we've been doing all along. Now, of course, fourth industrial revolution was mentioned. Once again, I'm saying, don't just pay lip service to these words. They are nice and easy, catchy words. But you have to do them hands-on. See, if you say fourth industrial revolution and they say blockchain, then learn how to use the blockchain by programming the blockchain to create solutions. Okay, if you don't know, come see me. I'll show you how to do it. It's not that difficult. Okay? If you say it is IoT that you want inside that fourth industrial revolution, then you should get hands-on and build things. Okay, now let me tell you, we run IoT workshops at the African regional level. Now, the trend is at the time that we were first teaching scientists how to do IoT, we used to call them micropsychologists. The price of a Motorola 6809 was $500. Yeah, this is, I was teaching from International Center for Physics, these subjects as far back as maybe 84 around 80s. Okay. We were even in China. We taught in China in 86, just before the Tiananmen Square matter. Okay. We were teaching scientists how to put the board inside your PC so that you can collect data, okay, for control for various kinds of scientific research. Now, the price of these IoT devices, we will be able to give you a device that runs 4 Linux for $5 in the next year or two. Are you seeing what is going on? So the cost matter is disappearing. So if you now go and say we are building Smart Africa and you are just talking. You're opening the market for the big guys to come and grab. You should be building your own $5 unit box. You understand? You should be designing your own thing that solves whatever problem building has. Because it's only $5, so cost is going away. What matters now is knowledge and your ability to do it. So, pay attention. Pay attention. Now, I also believe in communities as how to store the knowledge. So, hearing that you have a community for public, you have a community, and so on, is a good thing for me. But what happens is that if you put knowledge in the book, it's static, it doesn't evolve, it's frozen, facsimile. Okay? However, if that knowledge is kept within a group, each person advances it and shares. Okay? Each person advances it and shares. So as you share, the body of knowledge expands, and you get to know things you shouldn't do and things you should do in the community. That we tend to call in the internet society best. So, of knowledge is extremely important. You should pay attention to it. So every time, make sure you're not alone. Make sure that you have other people with similar objectives, working on similar things, being together to discuss these things. So communities are very important. Then the next thing which I will do to conclude my comments here. Because we are not big companies for whatever reason, okay? And some of the reasons were painful, as our colleagues mentioned, okay? Because we're not understood. What this profession was not understood. Even now, we still don't understand. That's why you will surprise us. I tell you I'm a programmer, because people think I should be a programmer. Okay? So we're never understood in depth like our counterparts overseas. But without looking back, what it says is that in future, the policy environment must pay attention to making sure that the small companies get jobs. I don't mean get employment. No, they get projects that they do because it's from projects. That's what they want. It's from projects that they can get more experience, more knowledge. Now, presumably, a good approach would be that for a big project, you have a recognized integrator, but then who will work to divide the jobs into small pieces, which match the kinds of things you are able to do. And then you compete to do those things, and then they get integrated by these, let's say, more experienced, larger organizations. Otherwise, without jobs, without projects for the artisan skills will not advance. Okay? And our profession is a mixture of, artists, technicians, scientists, and also, businessmen. So we need to have this sort of support which will allow us to sustain our knowledge acquisition. And I purposely cited the case of China that in '86 we were teaching them microprocessors. That time they didn't have microprocessors. Today they are the leaders of your VLSI fabrication. Okay? Because they enable the small and medium enterprises in this industry also pick up their muscle, will be successful. I think we have a great future ahead, but it won't come easy. There are those who wish we outsource all to them. Okay, we will do it for you. Many people come and say, we'll do it for you. Okay, but I'll tell you that, yes, I want you to do it for me, but I want to do some. And so we should insist on being part of the development of our destiny. And I think that destiny lies in the hands of the youth. And I'd like to see you take up the challenge to do this technology development. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Quaynor. It's time for us to take questions. There is a link on the board, and so we would put in our questions there. But for the time being, we are just taking 2 questions here, physically, 2. And then the rest should be sent to that link. It will be answered before the end of the whole program. 2, any questions? 1, and then the last question. Okay, we are taking 2, so who do I do? You have, okay, 1 for Lily and then 1 for the gentleman in the African Prince. We start from you. Please keep it very short. Yeah, let's keep it short.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Stama. I work with the group and I work in statistics. I think this is the second time I'm listening to Prof, and it's always nice to have your take on the Internet of Things in Africa. Now, I've got some questions to ask you. It has to do with the surveillance capabilities of some of the African governments here. Your presentation said that nobody can take care of our content and data better than our own selves. But then what we've seen on the continent is that most African governments have done huge investments into the enhancement of surveillance capabilities to monitor their own citizens for political purposes. And so when it comes to making the necessary investment in the social infrastructure for our progress, we see the big 4. I'm referring to the GAFA, Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon coming to our aid. I want to have your take on these surveillance capabilities in relation to the privacy laws and regulations that we have on the continent.
Thank you so much. My name is Sandra. This Prof, from your biography, guess what we have heard of? It's so clear that you've been within the internet space for so long. I want to find out, have you tried from you, within Africa, of course, Ghana is part. Sciences, for that matter, computer science, is so lacking. What have you been doing, or what do you think can be done to encourage our policymakers to make science, for that matter, the practical aspect of science, so attractive to the youth? Because you are preaching internet, and internet, of course, everybody is supposed to be part. But the space is not there. The structures are not there. The facilities are not there. And people are not encouraged to go into it. What do you think could be done to our policymakers to encourage people to go into that? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Rebecca. What I want to Prof to answer me is on education and skills. Okay, source is a personal advice from him that we are supposed to get both of them. How does he explain education and skills, and how do we use it to develop our own destinies? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Perry Bate. I work for PEK Solutions. We are electronic security, Internet of Things stuff. So for the past 3 days, I have a server sitting in my house that's connected to Vodafone. So for somebody like me without internet, I can't work. I can't do nothing. So for the past 3 days, my internet is not working, and I call Vodafone, and they tell me I call them like 10 times every day, and they tell me that there's a server down in my area. So and just yesterday, a client was threatening that he's going to cancel the service if I don't come back. In this situation, we are here talking about how we are going to improve our system. What do I do as a private person? What do I do?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think please give them a clap. I like the atmosphere of the question. Let me try. I don't profess I will answer the question the way I wish, but at least I'll try and shed some light on them. The first one is expressing concern about emphasis of African governments on surveillance side of things, and less so on social progress. Okay, the issue is more like this. We perhaps did not develop all the aspects of internet simultaneously. And so the usage may have gone ahead in some cases in Africa, whereas other portions of the surveillance we have won. It's conceivable. It's also possible we became users and we did not develop the technology side of things. It's also possible that we focus strictly on business by letting telcos expand into the area without paying attention to affordability. So from time to time, you will see policy environment trying to correct or trying to adjust. So even though I cannot go brief for any of the governments in Africa who are spending more effort on surveillance, I just want you to bear in mind that there are many facets of these things called internet development that it's not so easy to get it all right. And therefore, it's possible to find yourself in a situation where you yourself wish you had more surveillance. It's possible. In other words, if there are many bad things occurring, you will actually wish that we had done something about those things to have prevented them from occurring. And there have been cases like that. There have also been cases where you might say folks have been over enthusiastic in abusing the policy authority for purpose of surveillance. Now, and therefore falling back on social development, social progress, and so on. It also does happen that those you mentioned as leaders in social progress, like the Facebooks and the Googles, are actually the companies for more surveillance. Okay, meaning they too have been abused. And I'm using that to illustrate that it is not so simple and that there are many facets of this challenge. And the only way we know to make it work is by community approach. That's why we keep talking about the collaborative cybersecurity or collaborative development, community-oriented, and so on and so forth. So you need to have more forums such as this by which you can, in some sense, we think this has gone too far, and then use that to influence policy to go back. That's the way I would generally deal with the first one. But you did mention things about privacy laws. okay, which is interesting. I want to also touch on that. Privacy laws are part of how life or freedom should occur. Unfortunately, if you try to emphasize privacy too much, then it begins to get into other people's freedom or the state's own freedom. So once again, it's a question of where's the balance? How well can we make the balance more fuzzy so that everybody is more comfortable? You know, as if the balance is sharp, sometimes it's difficult, and we have to be careful with it. We ourselves, we do have our own privacy laws, patterned, largely, at least for the internet side, after the European style of, data protection and so on. My issue with that approach is that, well, let me put it, there are three kinds of approaches to handling data. One of them is what you are familiar with, okay, which says that, in essence, the individual should be responsible for the data. There is the other approach which says, like the case of the Chinese, which say that the state is responsible for the data. And there's a third approach, which is the US one, which says corporates can be responsible for the data. Do you see there's a difference? And depending on where you err, you have different levels of comfort or discomfort on the privacy situation. Now, if you err on the side of the individual being responsible, then it becomes unwieldy because nobody can have any data, because I have to agree that you have the data, and I have to agree on how you use the data. And this is the debate that we need to have on this subject. Now, the second one is focusing on, STEM-related things: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And the concern here is how we make it more attractive, for more people to participate, because that is a major, you might say, impediment to adoption of things like the internet. Of course, who wants to know what we've been doing? Me, since 1979, I've been teaching at the University of Cape Coast. Okay, so me, I've been trying to fight it my own way. And my way is by doing the triage. Okay, I do my academic things, I do my industry things, and I do my civil society things. Okay, so irrespective of what government is thinking or any company is thinking, I'm doing my three things. I commit my time to teaching, and I teach computer science. If some of my students are here, they will tell you, I teach algorithms, I teach computer architecture. These are the areas of my expertise. I'm an operating systems person, okay, by training, formal training. Meaning I do distributed systems, fault tolerant systems. Those are the things I used to work with and build in the US. So I'm saying on our own, every one of you here could be volunteering time to contribute to teaching. That's one. Meaning I'm arguing that if you say you're going to depend on policy authority to do all these things, sometimes you may not see your own output. But in your way, you can have an impact. And so some of the things that I have here, which are initiatives, are welcome with respect to step. Okay, and I cannot value. Some countries are producing 100,000 computer scientists per year. That's the likes of India. I don't think we reach 10,000. So the job is not that simple. Okay, and at the same time, it's not just the pure technologies we have to create. We have to create those in business, of entrepreneurship, orientation. We have to create those in the allied application areas, whether it's in medicine or in other forms of engineering or agriculture, and so on and so forth. So we are hard pressed. And if you go to any of these departments, you see they have just a handful of professors, handful of lecturers, and they are carrying all the load. Each of my classes is over 100 students. Just imagine, 100 students. See, so we have a lot of pressure. And yet, we know that we are, to some extent, the engine for the future development of the countries. Okay? So we are carrying on anyway. And if we get help, we take the help, but we don't wait for the help. Okay? I mean, there are labs which I have personally funded just because I wanted to see people do things in those areas. And I imagine the same is true about my other colleagues. So on the ground, what we are doing is we are trying to do it ourselves. Okay? In the public, we are raising our hands saying that we need help from everybody because we know that the people we train, they become very important in the corporations and also in government's own acquisition of technology. So I hope this helps in that area. Now, the one on education and skills is the same, similar. On the other hand, I want to show you the following. Because we are emerging economies, okay, our skills development suffers the same pain as academic development. Because we don't quite have the structures yet, so they suffer the same. Okay? Except that it's more about the bias of one is more towards your skills development. And the one about education is more biased towards the academic education. Now, what I can say though is that in our academic education, we're going to have to rethink the balance of the populations of which kinds of areas we are training people at. I'm not convinced that the present spread is the appropriate spread for us. Perhaps at the time that we were gaining independence, we needed more managers. But at some point, you're going to have to need more engineers. And also at some point, you're going to have to need more users. Meaning you have to go through the cycle somehow. And we need to ask ourselves whether we have the right balance among these things. If we think we have the right balance, then the ones which are critical, we have to find ways to support them, fund them, and so on. Now, the point I wanted to make though was that skills development requires that you work under an experienced person and learn as you go. Okay? It requires that you do that. Today, most of that is being done by the SME companies. Meaning when we finish with our formal education and you've got your computer science degree and join a company, the company knows that you are not quite ready. As was pointed out, that there's a disconnect between industry and academia. So the apprenticeship part of the job of skill development tends to come when you first join a company and then you are assigned a supervisor. Then the supervisor becomes like a mentor for you and then helps you acquire the skills. Now, occasionally you may find opportunity from short courses to acquire skills, and you should not miss those because you are still acquiring your education, but these are short courses that may show you or expose you to some new things. And those are good ways to develop skills. But don't think that by taking short courses without a mentor, you will acquire skills. I hope you see where I'm going with this. Because the short courses are supposed to help you, but it should continue. In that you should have somebody who is pulling you up all the time. That's how we normally do it. It should be a normal bricklayer, then eventually a foreman, and so on and so forth. So this is the kind of thing that I'll comment on. And the last one, very interesting, because it shows the challenge of running networks. Okay, I don't want to say your particular provider is a bad provider or not. Okay, that one is market forces will determine that. But to run a network 7/24, always online, is not the simplest thing. And you're doing it in a geographic spread area. So while one particular area is not working, another area is working. We can follow people on response. Okay, well, since they heard of the problem, how fast have they acted on the problem? Or we can follow them on the frequency of having faults. okay, meaning the normal measures of, time to respond, and time to repair, TTR, okay, and also your MTPM, time between failures. We can follow them using these kind of metrics. We can also follow them on their business practices of customer service. They should be chasing you because your money is going to go somewhere else. So they should be chasing you. And the best advice under this sort of situation is to ask for competition, choice. Okay? And remember that even when we are designing complex systems, we deliberately design reliability into them. In other words, your system could have been designed to have multiple providers. You are following me? Because we deliberately buy from 2 or more different providers and we take on the job of spreading the traffic among them so that when there's a failure, you don't notice it. Okay, you have to go to survive fault. Okay, that's part of the design consideration. So don't assume that the provider never goes down. So the same as I tell you, protect yourself, okay, and choose a good provider. Okay, the provider also has to choose good, service providers for them, and so on and so forth. I think that's probably the best I can say for now. No, as if it's not coming up, change your provider. Okay, but get smart. Don't have only one provider. Maybe have 2. Maybe you also need some small infrastructure. Okay, that would help you spread your things. I hope that helps.
That's lovely. Good work. Thank you so much, Prof. It was so insightful. I wish we could continue the conversation up and up and up, but there's one key word that I think out of everything is mentorship. As much as we want to have more education, as much as we want to spread the news, as much as we want to involve more people in it, if we don't have mentors that will mentor us, then there is no need to do that as well, because it's a learning curve. There are people who have gone ahead to learn and have gone through the struggle. There's no need for us to also go and face the wall and come back. We just have to ride on their back. And so mentorship is important. And also with the issue of the fact that we are talking about it, but there's no initiative. If I should summarize what the second speaker, the question the second speaker asked, I think Prof has answered, but to me, I also think that it's not that we don't have, we have forums, we have organizations, we have international bodies. I think last year there was a program about A4A summit. It was done in conjunction. A4AI did a summit in conjunction with Ministry of Communications to actually educate girls to incorporate such training in secondary education. I think girls in ICT, yes, thank you. And I think now, even at the primary level, ICT is compulsory. IT, not all the point. Yeah, they did it for girls, but we have the Internet Society of Ghana doing it for both girls and boys, for everyone. And so let's just not come up with suggestions, let's come up with solutions as well. Thank you. We also want to acknowledge the presence of everyone here, the speakers. We'll be having a panel discussion after this break, and then we'll also have a small talk on the future of work in the internet era. We would also have a presentation on online child protection services, revenge porn and other things online. We would be discussing that. So we'll go for a short coffee break. Please, let's make it quick. The networking would happen after everything, but we'll go for a coffee break. But when we are going out, we have a banner outside where we would like to take a photograph, just a quick one. So when you move out, Lily is standing at the gate. She would direct you as to where we are going to take a photograph. Thank you.